Hello students, welcome to Sri Vardhaman Vidyalaya online education. Today we will see the part 8 of an chapter 3, metals and non-metals. So in this chapter we will discuss about the properties of an ionic compounds. So properties of ionic compound. To learn about the properties of ionic compounds, so let us perform the following activity. So that is activity 3.13. Take the sample of sodium chloride, potassium iodide, barium chloride, and any other salt from the science laboratory. What is the physical state of this salt? Take a small amount of sample on a metal spatula and heat directly on the flame. So just like this. So we are taking a sample of a substance in a spatula and we are heating a salt sample on a spatula. So repeat with another sample. What did you observe? So did the sample impact any color to the flame? Do this compound melt? Then try to dissolve the sample in water, petrol and kerosene. Are they soluble? Next, make a circuit that will be shown in the figure. So just like you have to make a circuit, so just you have to test the conductivity of a salt solution. So here we are taking a graphite rod and that rod will be dipped inside a salt solutions under the test. So we are taking those salt, so that will be dissolved in the water or any other substance. Now in this one you have to check whether that salt solutions will conduct the electricity or not. So insert the electrodes into the solution of one salt. What did you observe? Test that the sample to in this manner. What is your inference about the nature of this compound? So first we have to check that whether we are taking in a three sample, that is on a sodium chloride, potassium iodide and barium chloride, and first we are testing the physical state, that whether it is solid, liquid or gas. Next, second one, we are heating that sample on a metal spatula directly on the flame. So you have to test whether the color of a flame will be seen or not. Then third one, you have to dissolve that sample in water, petrol and kerosene, in which solvent it will be dissolved. Fourth one, we have to check, or we have to make a circuit, so to check whether that salt sample is in a conduct electricity or not. So this all are will be tabulated in the table column. So first one, salt. So we have taken in a 3, sodium chloride, potassium iodide and barium chloride. So first one is the physical state. All, that is a sodium chloride, potassium iodide and barium chloride are all solid in state. Next, the color of the flame on heating. So the sodium chloride will gives an yellow color, where potassium iodide gives light purple and barium chloride gives pink to white. So first it will be born with an pink, then you will get an white. Next, solubility in water, petrol and kerosene. So sodium chloride will be soluble in only water. In petrol and kerosene it is insoluble. Where potassium iodide is also same, it will be soluble in water, and in petrol and kerosene it is insoluble. Barium chloride is also same, it will be soluble in water. In petrol and kerosene it will be insoluble. Next, the conduction of an electric current. So in this one, sodium chloride will conduct the electricity. So all the three salt will conduct the electricity. So the nature of a compound, so in sodium chloride, potassium iodide and barium chloride, they are ionic compound. So just like we can check the nature of a substance, color of the flame on heating, solubility, conduction of electric current and nature of the compound. So now we can see the physical properties of an ionic compound. So the properties of ionic compound. Ionic compounds are usually crystalline solid, that is made up of iron, have high melting point and boiling point, conduct electricity when in aqueous solutions and when melt, and are mostly soluble in water and polar solvent. So first we will check the physical nature. Ionic solid usually exist in regular, well-defined crystal structure. The ionic compounds are solid and some are somewhat hard because of a strong force of attractions between the positive and negative ion. So these compounds are generally brittle and break into pieces when pressure is applied. So most of the ionic compounds are solid in nature. Second properties, that is electric conduction of ionic compound. Ionic compound conduct electricity in the molten or in aqueous state when ion become free and act as a charge carrier. So ionic compounds will conduct an electricity when it is dissolved in water in aqueous. Next, in solid form, the ions are strongly held by electrostatic force of attraction and they are not free to move. So hence they do not conduct electricity. So in solid state, the ionic compound will not conduct an electricity because they are held by a strong electrostatic force of attraction. So what happens? The electrons are not free to move. So you know that electricity will conduct when the electrons will flow. So this will be happens only in the molten as well as in aqueous state. So now you can see the diagram. So in solid state, you can see that is an ions are closely packed by a strong force of attractions. And in molten and aqueous solutions, what happens? They will be free to move. So you can see here it is blue color, that is an ions moves to the negative terminal, and red color it will be moves to a positive terminal. Okay, so for example, here we can take ionic compounds such as sodium chloride does not conduct electricity when solid state, but when dissolved in water or in molten state, it will conduct electricity. Okay, so the salt solutions conduct an electricity. During an salt solutions, what happens? They will be dissociated into an ions. So these ions will be free to move. So that why what happens? They will conduct an electricity. So now let's see how they conduct the electricity. The conduction of electricity through a solutions involves a movement of charged particles. A solution of ionic compound in water contains ions, which moves to the opposite electrodes when electricity is passes through the solution. The ionic compound in solid state do not conduct electricity because the movement of ion in solid is not possible due to their rigid structure. But the ionic compound conduct electricity in molten state. This is possible in the molten state since the electrostatic force of attractions between the positively charged ions are overcome due to heat. So thus the ions move freely and conduct electricity. So like this what happens? So ionic compounds will conduct electricity only in molten state as well as in an aqueous solution. Next is a melting point and boiling point of ionic compound. You know that is in ionic compound. So the strong electrostatic force between the ions. So it will requires a high amount of energy to break that bond. So so always what happens? The melting point and boiling point of the ionic compounds are very high. So, in ionic compounds, the strong electrostatic force between ions require a high amount of energy to break. So, thus melting point and boiling point of ionic compounds are usually very high. So, you can see the melting point and boiling point of some ionic compounds. So, ionic compounds, sodium chloride. So, the melting point is 1074. So, that it will be denoted in Kelvin, wherein boiling point 1686. Lithium chloride. So the formula is LiCl and melting point is 887 and boiling point is 1600. Next calcium chloride. So CaCl2. So melting point is 1045 and boiling point is 1900. Calcium oxide CaO. So melting point is 2850 and boiling point is 3120. Magnesium chloride MgCl2. So the melting point is 981 and boiling point is 1685. Now next we will see the solubility of an ionic compound. Most ionic compounds are soluble in water due to the separation of ions by water. This occurs due to the polar nature of water. For example, NaCl is a 3D salt crystal compound of Na plus and Cl minus ion bounded together through the electrostatic force of attractions. When a crystals of sodium chloride come in contact with water, the partially positive charge end of water molecules interacted with an Cl ion, while the negative charge end of water molecules interacted with an Na plus ion. So this ionic dipole interactions between ion and water molecule assist in breaking of a strong electrostatic force of attractions within the crystal and ultimately in the solubility of crystal. So now you can see that in sodium chloride, you can see that when it will be come in contact with water, what happens? The partially positive charge end of water molecules will interacted with a chlorine. Cl minus ion. Same thing, the negative charge of an end of water molecules will interacted with an sodium plus ion. So in water molecules, when it will be split up into an ions, you can say H plus and OH minus. So here, so H plus positive charge of an water molecules interacted with an Cl minus ion, and negative charge of water molecules is OH minus will interacted with an Na plus ion. So when this will be happens, you will get the formula like this, that is an NaCl when dissolved with water. So NaCl plus H2O gives NaOH plus HCl. So now you can see the diagram for that is a sodium chloride dissolved in water. So this is a sodium chloride crystal structure. So it is 3D structure. So here that is in a blue color, around it is a plus, it is a sodium, that is Na, and green color ball will denote a chlorine. So here it will be shows you can see that alternative positive and negative charge. So this is 3D structure. So in between this also there will be alternative positive and negative charge. Now when it will be dissolved in the water, you can see that. So here plus is an what? Sodium. Okay. So the sodium will be surrounded by a negative charge of an water molecules, that is OH minus. Next here it is an chlorine. Here chlorine will be surrounded by an positive charge of an water molecule. So like this what happens? The electrostatic force of attractions between the sodium chloride will be break and it will be soluble in the water. So these are the ionic so these are the properties of an ionic compound. Hope you all are understood this one. So student, now listen. So if you have any doubt, so please uh, contact me. And next you have an blue questions on the page number 49. So you have to finish that blue questions in your notebook. Thank you. So we will meet in the next part of this session.